Have you ever felt that the world holds a remote control over your emotions? It is common to wake up feeling fine, with a light mind, a rested body, and a neutral sense of balance. But just a few minutes of exposure to the outside world are enough for that state to be broken. A sharp comment, a honk in traffic, an unexpected delay, a poorly worded criticism, or even a silence interpreted as rejection are enough to hijack our mood. Without realizing it, we hand over the command of our emotional life to external factors. We live in a constant state of reactivity, reacting to what happens instead of acting from who we are. In this state, we do not choose our feelings. We simply endure them. We become toys of circumstances, emotional puppets pulled by invisible strings. This condition is not an individual flaw, but a collective pattern. We were educated from an early age to seek external validation, social approval, and security in things that are beyond our reach. We learn to measure our value by others' opinions, our happiness by results, and our peace by ideal scenarios that rarely materialize. The problem is not wanting a better life, but believing that it depends exclusively on the world behaving the way we want. This belief is the silent root of almost all anxiety, frustration, and emotional suffering. But what if I told you there is a way to act without being shaken? A way to live fully engaged with life without being enslaved by it? An inner posture that does not eliminate problems but prevents them from dominating your inner world? The ancient Stoics called this state Ataraxia, an unshakable peace. Unlike euphoric and unstable happiness, Ataraxia is a deep, solid tranquility that does not depend on what happens outside, but on what you build within. It is essential to understand that Ataraxia is not apathy nor an escape from reality. It does not require you to become indifferent to the suffering of others or to abandon your desires and ambitions. On the contrary, it is born from a lucid engagement with life. It is the state of those who see the world as it is, without illusions, without denial, and without unnecessary dramatization. It is the serenity of those who understand the rules of the game of existence and choose to play intelligently. Becoming indifferent, in the Stoic view, does not mean being cold, insensitive, or heartless. This is one of the greatest misunderstandings about Stoicism. Stoic indifference is strategic, selective, and conscious. It does not block emotions, but filters stimuli. It does not eliminate feelings, but prevents them from becoming tyrants. It is an emotional invulnerability that allows you to feel without losing yourself, act without destroying yourself, and face chaos without internalizing it. This armor does not arise by chance. It is built through training, reflection, and mental discipline. And the first great secret to developing this posture lies in the deep understanding of what is called the Dichotomy of Control. Epictetus, one of the main Stoic philosophers, was born a slave. He knew, like few others, the absence of external freedom. His body did not belong to him. His decisions were limited. His life was subject to the will of others. Even so, he was the one who formulated one of the most liberating ideas in the history of practical philosophy. Epictetus taught that the greatest source of human suffering is trying to control what does not belong to us. According to him, everything that exists in the world can be divided into two very simple categories. The first category contains what is under our control. The second, everything that is not. It seems obvious, but this distinction completely changes the way you live. Under our control are only three fundamental things: our judgments, our intentions, and our actions. In other words, what we think about events, what we choose to want, and how we decide to act. Outside our control are other people's opinions, their behavior, final outcomes, the economy, the weather, the past, the future, and even the health of our body, which can fail despite all care. Much of our anguish arises when we try to control exactly what falls outside the first category. We want others to understand us, respect us, value us. We want the world to be fair, predictable, and comfortable. We want absolute guarantees in a universe that operates on probabilities. This struggle is lost from the start, and the price is high. When you try to control the uncontrollable, you waste energy, generate frustration, and create a permanent conflict with reality. It is like rowing against the current, believing that if you try hard enough, the river will change direction. It will not. The river always wins. But when you lucidly accept the limits of your control, something powerful happens. You stop fighting the world and start working on yourself. You save a colossal amount of mental, emotional, and physical energy that can be directed toward what truly matters. your choices, your posture, your virtue, your clarity. Accepting is not giving up. Accepting is stopping the waste of strength where there is no power. It is recognizing that life does not need to be dominated to be lived with dignity. This understanding is the foundation of all Stoic emotional strength. Before we move on to practical techniques of mental shielding, I want to propose a brief pause for reflection. A real pause, not an automatic one. Look at your life today with brutal honesty and identify the situation that has been draining your peace the most. It may be a relationship, a financial issue, a personal insecurity, an unmet expectation, an injustice, or a memory that insists on returning. Now ask a simple and profound question. Is this under my direct control? If the answer is no, then every minute of anguish invested in it is a tribute paid to unnecessary suffering. If it is outside your control, you can influence, prepare, respond with dignity, but not dominate. If you realize that this situation is outside your direct control, write here in the comments, I reclaim control. This phrase is not symbolic, it is a commitment. A commitment not to hand over your tranquility to something you cannot change. A commitment to act where there is power and accept where there is not. And if this content is resonating with you, take a moment to subscribe and activate notifications, not out of obligation, but out of alignment. Emotional mastery does not happen in a single video, a single text, or a single insight. It is a daily, continuous, conscious training, and it is this training that we will do together here, continuing the strengthening of your mind. We need to talk about how the Stoics prepared for the worst. Unlike the modern mindset that tries to eliminate any negative thought, the Stoics believed that denying the possibility of suffering makes us more fragile, not stronger. They used a technique called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This practice consists of visualizing, in a controlled and rational way, losses, criticism, failures, and difficulties before they even occur. This is not pessimism, it is strategic realism. It is a way to desensitize the mind to the impact of the unexpected. When you consciously imagine that you might lose a job, be unfairly criticized, face illness, or have a plan frustrated, you are not attracting these things. You are removing their power of shock. Suffering often does not come from the event itself, but from surprise, from the abrupt breaking of expectations. By mentally accepting that chaos is part of life, you stop living in a state of illusion. The world loses its ability to negatively surprise you, because you have already recognized that it owes you no stability, and when something difficult happens, your mind does not panic. It recognizes the event as something possible, expected, and manageable. This practice also increases genuine gratitude. When you understand that nothing is guaranteed, every moment of calm ceases to be banal. Every ordinary day becomes valuable. Life stops being an automatic right and becomes a precious loan. Along with premeditatio malorum, the Stoics applied another fundamental principle called amor fati, the love of fate. This concept goes beyond acceptance. It is not just about tolerating what happens, but about wanting things to happen exactly as they happened. This may seem counterintuitive. How can one love pain, loss, frustration? Amor fati is not an attachment to suffering, but a deep recognition that everything that happens can be used as raw material for inner growth. Every obstacle contains a lesson, a training, and an opportunity for virtue. When you mentally resist what happened, you add an extra layer of suffering. When you accept and use the event, you transform pain into learning. Fate does not need to be gentle to be useful. Applying this in daily life requires awareness of the space between stimulus and response. This space, although small, is the territory of your freedom. When someone offends you, there is a millisecond before irritation. When something goes wrong, there is an interval before frustration. It is in this interval that you choose who you will be. The technique is simple, but it requires practice. Do not react immediately. Pause, breathe, observe. Name what happened without emotional adjectives. Turn drama into cold facts. If someone shouts at you, do not interpret it as an immediate personal attack. They are just sound waves emitted by a confused human being, carrying their own pains, fears, and limitations. Silence and calm are not weaknesses. They are supreme demonstrations of strength. They prove that the other has no access to your center, that you are not governed by others' impulses, that your mind is a sovereign territory. Over time, this posture becomes natural. You stop reacting by reflex and start acting by choice. The world remains noisy, chaotic, and unpredictable, but it no longer invades your inner world without permission. At the end of this journey, you should see yourself as a mountain. A mountain does not argue with the weather. Clouds pass, storms hit its slopes, the wind howls, the sun burns the peak. But the mountain remains. It does not need to defend itself, justify itself, or emotionally resist. It simply is. People and life events are the weather. They change all the time. Today they praise. Tomorrow they criticize. Today they favor. Tomorrow they obstruct. But you are the structure. Being unshakable is understanding that true freedom is not changing the world so that it pleases you, but changing yourself so that the world does not enslave you. Acting with strategic indifference is a profound act of self-respect. It is consciously deciding what deserves your attention and what should be discarded as irrelevant. It is protecting your energy as a finite and valuable resource. It is living with intention, not by reaction. If you felt that this message brought you the clarity you needed to face your current challenges, do not stop here. Stoicism is not a concept. It is a daily practice. I have prepared complementary material focused on how to apply Stoic discipline in moments of severe crisis, when life tests your limits and demands more than theory. Click the link in the description or the card appearing on screen now to continue building your mental armor. Always remember, the world can be noisy, unjust, and unpredictable, but your mind must be a sanctuary of order, clarity, and strength.